Hello. See if I can zoom out a bit. No. Sorry about the position. There we go. Oops. There we go. So heading back to home now, my boat. I've pretty much put in the car what I can put in the car. And about an hour running, well, I'm running about almost 2 hours behind from the time I wanted to leave. But this is really just me beginning to restructure my life to time again, instead of just being a mishmash of pressures. And I'm saying to myself, right, let's get up at this time, let's do this at this time. And I've not been able to do that for the longest time. So last time I tried to do this, and I was phasing myself back in and my life was a bit mad, it took me about 2 hours. I was overrunning about 2 hours at the beginning. Don't forget, I've got a serious mental health disorder and physical health symptoms. So I see it and I acknowledge it. It's not great for today's action planning. It's not the end of the world. And I just acknowledge it. I train myself back till I'm 5 minutes ahead of schedule every time, or 5 minutes ahead of schedule. I'm just finishing up, and I'll be off soon. And not that I was begrudging the flat specifically, but the situation of being in limbo more than anything, and finally making a decision, right, I'm moving on to the boat now. I have to leave the flat more than anything. It was just the situation telling me at that time, right, now's the time, because it's just dragged on and my life was going nowhere, so I made that decision. So what I'm getting at is I'm not running away from my problems are going to be with me. I'm actively addressing the practicalities of the situation, and that says, in me reading life, now's the time to say goodbye to the flat. But every time I come back here I don't want to say there's a horrible energy here, because there's a horrible energy at the other boat, and everywhere I go it's with me. But I think it's more the horrendousness of the situation. So when I come back to the flat, it's like things just become harder. I don't really know why. I could take this, but things just become harder. I think I'm just more focused at the boat on, well, bare minimum. It's like camping at the moment. And I've got stuff to do each day to improve my circumstances. So each day has an improvement at the boat, most days. But here at the flat, it's just like stagnation. Like for months and months, and if not dragged into years of stagnation and inner work. And there shouldn't be a problem with that, but it's just the situation again. I should be totally at peace with the horrible feelings of stagnation as opposed to the active improvement in my life, because it could return one day, and if I'm running away from it now, it will hurt even more when it returns. I prefer to deal with everything and be honest with myself in the present. So I should resume it's the situation, because I don't want to be running away from feelings and emotions and personal inner work that I'm not up to the challenge for. At least I'm honest with myself to say I need a break, and I could do with any positive in my life, but my mind just hasn't gone there because it's such a serious situation. The emotions and everything, that it's not something I've had the energy to even really contemplate much, and making any active decision in that way, in terms of, right, I acknowledge things are really hard, and just time away from it, a conscious break from this would be good, and that would be the wise thing. But to do that, to take that decision, you need to be conscious in the first instance, and I'm constantly under the cosh with regards to it, so it's not been something I've given any energy to making any decision there. But on reflection, it's where it's at. But I feel at peace, as I said, I'm not running away from my problems. I'm fully expecting them to return. So, spiritual tidbits. I've been really depressed and really severely in discomfort and pain and stress and pressured, physical pressure. And I get spiritual downloads when my body's breaking on a physical level. In other words, when I'm near death. I get glimpses to the wonders of the universe and of all time and everything else. And I'm bored of it, if I'm honest. I just prefer not to suffer in the first instance, or have a dial myself to be able to turn it up and down to take control. But it's out of my control. For that reason, I'd have to take the humble option and say I'd kindly decline the spiritual downloads for ease of life, less discomfort. And I have a certain level of control in the final instance. So life will say, you're in this much pain, you can have this much cake, spiritual download. And I'm like, yeah, but you're only here, the spiritual download is only here because I'm suffering this. And if I look at this, I feel sick to have anything nice as a reward for this. Sorry, I think that might be the door. Sorry, I don't know if you heard any of that. That was my neighbour. Had a leak this morning. She's just come back to see it. That's my life. So the spiritual insights and tidbits are like being forced on me. And I'm going to see if I can get into some of my Qigong stance. My uncle used to do the washing up, and he used to do like Qigong stance while he was doing his the washing up. So I'll try and do a little bit of that in this moment. So it's like I feel a bit sick when I get offered spiritual insights and receipt from the suffering and pain, and I just want to, because it's of value, you know, I don't want to make it of value, but it's of value, and for that reason, because we are spiritual beings, you question which way around is this happening. Sometimes am I being made to suffer this so I can have the spiritual information come to me, or am I going that way because of suffering? I believe we're spiritual beings first. Either way, doesn't matter. That's the situation, and when I do tap into the spiritual things, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to witness and acknowledge, even if it's not true. It's a beautiful story, and it's beautiful to listen to. And well, as I said, I have that choice in the final moment most times, to listen or not to listen, or to turn it up a bit and turn it down a bit, and I'm learning to stop it, etc, etc. Whereas at first it was like full on, I was addicted to it, because I'd never had this sort of wisdom come my way before. And all of a sudden I was being flooded with stories of all time and the universe. And well, I realised after a while it was unhealthy. I was pretty much aware that I was dying, and that was the reason this was happening. It was like a near-death experience in a constant near-death experience, but awake, because it was happening slowly. And things have been so sickening with my physical health. That's when it really gets me more than anything. Over the past few days. And it's been like at the same time, here Andres, this spiritual food. It's too much in the moment, because it's fresh in your mind what you've just been through. And you're like, I could never trade this for anything. So I push it away, and I'm here in the moment, and I'm entering a place that resembles normality, where it's just been all over the place. As I said, I've been stressed. I've not wanted to be back here, and I'm getting to the final stages, and my body's just relaxing that little bit. And in that relaxation, and I've been training myself with time, so it's good for my mind, really good for my mind. It's what it's who I was. It was when I was active, when I was working, when I was still functional. I was always on point with time, like impeccable. I was late sometimes, obviously, but I was always aware, always informing people. I did it for myself. I just think that's just the way I went about life. And I've not really been working. I've not really been going places for the longest time. My physical health and my mental health have degraded to such extents. I'm in a near constant state of intoxication from pain. I'm drowsy, I'm not sleeping. I haven't slept for a year or something. So you can more than well imagine my mind isn't sharp, I'm not on point, and there's not been a need to really apply myself in any way. But with the move, I'm getting myself up and going every day. And where I'm coming back to the flat, well, there's been a need for time all the way through in terms of time management, but it's just been so pressured, literally pressured beyond my ability to deal with it on any level. I've just been riding the waves. I'm constantly aware that on a mental level, on an emotional level, on a physical level, on an energetic level. The emotional level, forget about it, that was years ago. But the other four all broke at the same time, in and around the same time. And I was well aware I had no choice but to carry on. Otherwise, what I was found, to be honest, unlivable to begin with, just turned to utter insanity. All hell broke loose. And I've just been carrying on with pressures that are beyond my ability to comprehend on any level. And I'm like a toddler learning to walk for the first time, sort of thing. Because I don't know what's going on, but I know movement is just pushing me in that direction. It's like I have no choice, otherwise I'm going to hurt myself. I want to fall over. So today's the first day I'm getting in touch with time again. I tried to do it last year, I think, at some point, and it got to about this stage for a few weeks. I can't really remember, but it's happening now, and it's the real first time for a few years, and it's a real shock to the system, but it's also healing, and it's centering. So in the moment where it's been mad, utter madness, just connecting with it, the moment. I just ground myself from the confusion that was on top of the physical discomfort of the past few days that made it extra hard. So in other words, I've come back to something that's going to be as good as it's going to get for me. This is me positive. This is me happy. This is life going my way. Would you have guessed it? And what was I going to say? In other words, when I come back to this place, and it happens, no matter how bad things get, I know this place, and it's like just as good as it's going to get when things are bad. And I'm here and I connect, and I'm like, well, let's allow some of the spiritual wisdom to come my way. It was there anyway. I was like, I got lost in it for 5 minutes, and I came back and was like, no, I shouldn't be doing that, things have been terrible. And I'm like, actually, yeah, that is the case, but I've just hit home to like where I am. I've just hit home to positive Andreas, positive life. And I know in this place I've got to feed myself where possible, because I don't want to hurt anymore. So I allow myself to think, and I allow myself to dwell in the spiritual insights. And what do? What else feeds me is these live streams, and to share it. So I thought I'd do a live stream and share just some tidbits, because my brain hasn't got the resources at the moment to structure anything. And it's weird, because for the longest while I've been connecting with the Indian energy, and I've been like in real conflict with it, actually, the way it's been coming to me. But I've been getting downloads about India and the past and their influence on Earth. And today I realised, wow, I've got a strong Chinese energy all of a sudden. And well, let's just say it's like, as I move onto this new Chinese energy, because I don't have much information on the Chinese, the Oriental nations, the Oriental tribes, spiritual insights. I've been getting a download about the Indian tribes, the brown skin tribes, more accurately. Spiritual picture in relation to Earth, and it was like it's coming to fruition, like it's coming to completion. And I got the last little bit today, as I started to feel this Chinese energy come over my life, move into my life. It's like I was moving bamboo I've had purchased like bamboo canes for ages and stored them for when I was going to do some DIY and make something with it. But I'm taking it all to the boat and I'm moving it today. I've got some bamboo plants that I didn't really acknowledge before were even bamboo. I found them. And I've had them outside and they've been dying. And as I brought them in, I realised I've got a real spirit plant energy with bamboo, not in any way like that. I'm not, my mind doesn't go there. So, but anyway, as I brought them in, it's like I watered them, which I haven't been doing either. And I've realised that for a while now they need to be inside because they're dying outside. So I managed to do that today. I'm hoping to leave them here and come back in a few weeks after watering them. And they come alive. My neighbours next door have just moved in, the Chinese. The secret agent from the hospital that's been terrorising me for the last few months was Chinese. Been connecting with the Bruce Lee energy, which is 2 reincarnations of individuals, two reincarnations of Bruce Lee, believe it or not. With reincarnation, there's 5 types of body, and we're a collective species, we're a collective race. And when we reincarnate, our body splits into 5. I think it's mental body. No, sorry. So the spirit, which is the mind. You've got the emotional body, which is the life, so the entire life of that person, the most accurate experience of that individual. And you've got the soul, which I thought was the spirit, but it might not be. The spirit's just popped into my mind. It might be the relationship, the sexual energy. So whatever partner we have in this life might be the spirit, because that's what makes us come alive, doesn't it? Whether it be through love or sex or whatever, that's what we live for. That's what I can only imagine we live for. Even if it's the strongest spiritual connection, even if you're a monk and have renounced it on a spiritual level, there'll be a teacher, they'll be your spirit then. So it makes sense that the spirit is beyond us, and the spirit is mind. So we've got the spirit, we've got emotion and life, we've got the actual life, which is the soul, so that's the real claimant, that's the real person. But because it's just a polarized aspect of all their other lives, you don't feel that individual life as much as the emotional body. Because the emotional body is that life given to another individual. So it's like, I'm not Bruce Lee, I was never Bruce Lee, I'm not the reincarnation of Bruce Lee, but if I was to receive the emotional body as a gift to me, I would feel it more than the reincarnation of actually Bruce Lee would, because it's like, it's coming adjunct to my life. It's like my life is a constant polarization of mind and energy and consciousness working, and it doesn't really ever change. It moves like this, and then you get this other energy come in, and that can throw it in all different directions, and you experience this life as much as you have all your other lives for all intents and purposes. Well, to a greater or lesser extent, if we're talking about balance. So I know that reincarnation of Bruce Lee, and I know another reincarnational aspect of Bruce Lee. Don't know which way round it is, because Bruce Lee was, for all intensive purposes, the modern day Jesus. And when you're talking about spirits on that level, the norm doesn't always apply. So, but I have the standard model, and I just work with that, so I've got an idea of which way round Bruce Lee is and which way round Bruce Lee's life is. Could be wrong, doesn't really matter. Oh, I know the reincarnation of Bruce Lee. And that's coming there to me as an energy. I ate Chinese last night, by chance. Well, not by chance. I ate Chinese last night and it was like, just hit me, and you know, little Chinese energy coming into my life at least today. And maybe it will continue, and maybe I'll start getting downloads about the Oriental Empire, where I've been getting nice downloads about the Indian Empire. So who wants to know about India? Well, I keep saying India, the Brown tribe. Okay? Who wants to know? Raise your hand if you want to know. Oh, my one viewer didn't raise their hand. Shall I continue? You give me a second. I'm going to see if I've got any more roll-ups to make, and I'll come and share. If only there were smeller streams, I wouldn't have any viewers. Or I might start getting proper viewing numbers, because they want to start doing research as to the smells in here. I think I've been responsible for creating the coronavirus with what's been brewing in my sink. I'm not kidding. All I've got is this dry old mix, everything else is packed away. So give me a minute. Take on some vital fluids as well. So yeah, the Brown tribe, the Brown tribe. The Brown tribe. So the Brown tribe aren't really the Brown tribe, or at least they're becoming the Brown tribe. God knows how long they've been the Brown tribe, in terms of how long they've been here on the planet. But essentially, the Brown tribe's galactic connection is that of the Pleiades, the Pleiadians, tall white light beings, often with a baby blue colour, white and baby blue. And they're the current true warriors of the universe. I say true warriors, but it's not true warriors. It's warriors in the sense of what the word warrior means. And the honour for the true warriors goes to the Black Tribe, their galactic connection. Because my uncle told me the warrior is that of mind. And at the moment on planet Earth, the White Tribe have that one. They have that current role. Whoever's top dog really takes that role. And currently, who are the richest bastards on the planet are white cunts. My brothers. A little bit ashamed. And we're not doing a good job with it at the moment. In terms of being true warriors of mind, the Black Tribe take that honour. That's just where their inclination went when they were spawned out of infinite dust. And that was their application to life, and it makes sense that the White Tribe actually embody that spirit, because we were born from the Black Tribe. They birthed us. At least so says my head. In the image of our parents, isn't it? Anyway, but the Pleiadians are the true warriors, because in the downloads I've been getting is like the Pleiadians are the top dogs in the universe. They're the most conscious beings, and that's where warriors ended up, because to be conscious you have to fight through the suffering and the love, the polarities. You have to go to the evil and you have to go to the other end, the whatever's on the other side of evil. The godliness, there we go. So between the godliness and the evil, you get consciousness. If you only go one way, you don't really get anywhere. You get something, and that becomes something else. Not to say one has more value than the other, but in terms of consciousness, it's an experience. And the Pleiadians have gone round the universe, so says Cromwell Melchizedek, enlightening idiots like us, the human race. Because what happened was, I don't know how many thousands of years ago, I think 13,000 years ago, the story is this. Alexander the Great, so there was the Black Tribe, Red Tribe, Yellow Tribe and White Tribe on planet Earth. And Alexander the Great at that time was pouncing around the Middle East, pouncing around Europe and wherever, claiming it for his own ego. And for whatever reason, he was going to head to China and invade China. And don't forget, we were spiritual back in those days, and with spirituality, yeah, we had sticks, bows and arrows, swords and all of that, but we also had spiritual weaponry. And essentially, the story goes that Alexander the Great was going to go to China And in that act, he would let off the Ark of the Covenant or some spiritual disaster and cause an atrocity that would essentially be worse than firing a nuclear bomb on the planet. It's said that aliens will only step in when a nuclear bomb is fired. Now don't forget, nuclear bombs of Hiroshima and the other one that I can never remember, which is a bit of a joke if I consider myself a human being. Either way, the bombs of today, nukes, inexpensively, they put it to shame. And it's said that aliens will only step in when a nuclear bomb is fired and it's mid-air and pluck it out of the sky to save us, and then come down and say hello, because we're fucked anyway. You know, they've got nothing to lose. Well, it was a bit like that back in those days. Alexander the Great got in something he shouldn't have. I don't know if he got it on the black market, the dark web, or somewhere else. He was going to go and let it off. So at that moment, the Pleiadians said, right, these guys need a lesson. Otherwise they're going to hurt. Time for us to step in. So what happened is, the Brown tribe was born. And with the Brown tribe, what happened is, they took all the potential of all of time, of all the energy on the planet, saw all the infinite possibilities of the future, the good, the bad, and they applied their aeons of suffering and love and everything else, their wisdom, to pick the most appropriate appearance of life for representing a human being and culture and heritage and past and everything else. And it was like the perfect balance between everything. All the madness of planet Earth, all the divisions, all the wars, all the love, all the wisdom, all the innocence, all the humbleness, all the warriorship. And they rocked up as a nation. And they essentially let off the Ark of the Covenant. They took responsibility for it. On Alexander the Great. Because they couldn't stop the inevitable, I think that would fuck time. It had to be let off. It had to still happen. But they had to take control. They had to take the responsibility to guide us through this process that is our own suffering. Well, the story says it was a white man again. We've got a great history, haven't we? It's shameful that we present ourselves in such a way. It's like, just be a little bit honest here. We're utter bastards. We've got all the money in the world, but we're cunts. We can't really put ourselves on the stage as celebrities, can we? It's a bit sickening. We really need some people with better track records to look up to in this world. So anyway, they let it off. So it's probably been beef over the past 1,000 years. And essentially I believe we entered into a state of amnesia to a certain extent as species. I don't know what really takes place with the Ark of the Covenant, but they've done the work over the past few thousand years out of love, guiding us through our own torture, own division, our own separation, till modern day, and well, 2012 2.0, which is 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and then again there's going to be a lesser extent, if not the same thing, happening in the 2030s. I'm not sure if it goes beyond that. But either way, what I saw is because essentially, imagine the Pleiadians, they've seen humanity, their infinite potential from 5,000 years ago, all the way to the end of time. So in other words, the Pleiadians, the Indians, the brown tribe, are infinite. Their minds have gone to the end of time in every possibility for humanity. So they've seen out every good, every bad, everything else. You have to see them as being infinite towards the end of time, because that's where their minds have gone to in terms of us. And that's how they've appeared on this planet. So essentially, to appear as a conscious being representing another, how do we call it, element of the game, element of the plan. So in other words, the Pleiadians look like something else back in the Pleiades. So they came to planet Earth and said, yeah, we're going to look like you guys, we're going to wear the same clothes, we're not going to look different, we want to be part of the gang. And to create that being, and where it was all about seeing the energy of that moment on planet Earth and finding perfect balance with their energy and their love intermixed within that, their wisdom, they had to see that process out to the end of time. So in other words, they had to fight everything, live every experience until they just died of boredom, or just like turned into light all at the same time. God knows how it ended. But anyway, what I saw, and this is a fun one, is that within that, because they're such warriors, if you're a warrior, you want the strongest bones. Yeah, you want everything else strong too, but if you strengthen your bones, that's where it's at. It makes it easy for everything else to become strong, just by nature. Because they're such warriors, they train themselves back. So in other words, they get to that place of being utter warriors in terms of strengthening their bones to the utmost, and they're like, right, how much can I hereafter strengthen my bones through energy, mental application, mind, love? And essentially your bones become weaker, and that strength you have in your bones is in everything else. It might not make sense, but we just have to understand it as a rough concept. And where they began to weaken themselves through training to make themselves stronger, they turned themselves into birds, flying birds, the most alive beings there are. Because bird bones are hollow and weak. But obviously, if you're doing that through a conscious application, it's not a weakness. It's wisdom. And it just occurred to me, you know, that clip in Avatar, when it's like the trees just fallen down or whatever, and they're gonna mount rallying fly. Oh no, that's it. The trees just fallen down and everyone's deflated. No, something along the lines of, I think that's when it came out that the lead character, the Avatar, the one who's an avatar but's not an avatar, that's a human, turned out that he's human, and they didn't believe him anymore. They didn't have faith in him. And anyway, they were fighting the humans, and the humans were winning or something like that. And the avatars, whatever they were called, were deflated. To prove his point, the avatar that was an avatar that was a human, he went and got that, I can't remember the exact name, Muktik or something, the bird that flies the highest in the sky. And it was just like that for me. It's like, it just makes sense, like the most conscious beings fly the highest. So maybe it's really symbolic what the Red Indians say, that they're waiting for the sign when the eagle of the north meets the condor of the south. Maybe it truly is like we've balanced it out down here on the planet. The guys in the sky have seen it, and they can meet for a cup of tea on a cloud and watch us. And we'll know in that moment that it's happening or it's done or something. It's some sign, I can't remember the significance. It's all about what I wanted to share. I just got that download about the birds and I was like, oh, that's well nice, let me share that. And I've been half intoxicated from the pain whilst I've been doing it, relaxing at the same time, which is why I'm entering that. It's a weird thing, you get in the pain state and you can't do a thing else other than be present with the pain. Then the pain gets too much and you enter hysteria. But then you realise the process and you don't want to enter hysteria the next time, but eventually you're pushed into hysteria anyway, and you find yourself in that place and you're like, intoxication, that's what I mean. And you're like, well, what can I do? I know I sound drunk, I know I look drunk, I look a mess. And you just accept it. You just accept that it's the most practical thing that's possible to do in the moment. So that's the situation for me. Still hate life very much.